Oh my God, folks! Look at this debate: Cenk versus Hasanab, Hasan Hasanabi. Actually, his cousin, his nephew Hasanabi, and this is from Agu. I got this from Agu. He's doing a stream, and this just finished. Couldn't get all of it. He ended his stream, but look at here. He destroys Cenk Uygur on Defend the Police. And he destroyed Cenk Uygur's propaganda. I mean, listen to what he says. He really destroys them, folks. I'm just gonna let you see some of this. I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna like me at all, because you're. Oh no, I want a black and white world. I want everything to be extreme. No, I'm not that guy. So where does the nuance come in?
What?
So if you say to me, should we reform the police, reform the training? Obviously, as I said earlier, I say yes, right?
But that requires funding.
Some of the funding, social services, you keep the same amount of money, but move some of it from cops.
I don't think
to
they should keep
social
the same
services.
amount of money.
Okay, hold on. We'll get to that in a second.
Yep.
Some of it to social services because they can handle X better. I'm open to that. I'm totally open to that. Okay.
So it's a semantics difference. You're saying like keep the same
No, no,
amount of
no,
money,
no, no,
but
no.
don't defund it.
Okay. First of all, semantic difference is a giant difference, as we just discussed. Optics, framing, etc., makes a huge difference. But when you get into the substance,
it doesn't matter, 'cause
there
you-
are some things I disagree with.
Okay.
So you don't
for
agree with the
example,
policy
say-
anyway. You don't agree with the policy of like our ballooning police budgets year over year have not actually genuinely improved the lives or genuinely fucking put a
And
dent
Cenk
in
calls
like,
himself a progressive.
in
I know, right?
fixing some of the
Like, it's ridiculous. Like, if you like police reform and the reform of the justice system is one of the fundamental tenets of progressivism. So you kind of have to have that in your, belief system. Have that as part of your belief system if you want to call yourself a progressive. So I want Cenk to say what he disagrees with.
He's a capitalist. He's Democrat. He's actually a democratic capitalist. Actually.
Right now, like he said, like keep the police budget, like take some of the police budget money and give it as social spending or something, or keep the budgeting the same but reshift the priorities between the two sectors. I don't know. I think that's what he's saying, but I need him to be a little bit more clear. I think he's going to be right now, hopefully.
Should speed it up.
face the problems. You don't agree with that.
No. So look. So here's what happened. If you'd asked me that a couple of years ago, I probably would have agreed with that. And then we did, in some places, reallocate some of the money or cut some of the money. And so it's a little bit misleading in places like Washington, D.C., because they took from one budget and moved it to another budget, etc. But the bottom line is they did lose a number of cops in a bunch of cities. Okay, they lost raw number of cops.
Yeah, they died to COVID.
Yeah.
Well, look, there's a lot of factors.
That's true.
Including cops not doing their job, which I'll get to in a second. But
Yeah,
having said
they
that,
quit the
less
force.
cops,
They also leave the force. They actually quit.
But that's not the main problem. But that was one of the contributing problems that led to more crime. Now, other things that I agreed with now have created issues. So, for example, no cash bail. Okay, I was totally in favor of no cash bail because I totally get the argument. I was the one putting forward that argument.
This thing is a
hey, a
garbage.
rich guy and a poor guy does the same crime.
So no
Rich guy
cash
gets
bail.
out on bail. Poor guy can't get out on bail. That's totally
It's nothing to do with defund the police. My God.
unfair, right? But what wound up happening is recidivism is a massive part of crime. And so when we did no cash bail, yes, there are a number of guys who are down on their luck, high, whatever. There's a number of factors. And when we did no cash bail for them, they just went out and did more crime, and it became a real significant problem. And so,
Okay, but the thing is, no cash bail on its own isn't going to fix this shit, and that's not what defund the police is. Defund the police has a many
Doesn't mean
types,
that.
many
It's a part.
policies. Together, that will change the thing. Of course, just no cash bail on its own. So nobody's making the argument that we should just have no cash bail and have no other reform in the justice system. The reason people, do crime again and again and again, even if they've gone to jail, is because jail doesn't stop crime. It really doesn't. It just reacts afterwards, takes the criminal, puts them in a place where they can't hurt anybody. That's at least in theory. And then when they go back out, they have one, if they have a felony, there's no chance they're going to be able to vote. And two, regardless of whether you got a petty, misdemeanor, or a felony, finding a job is going to be very, very hard. Wasn't the increase in crime largely due to economy being so terrible when COVID-19 was first a thing? Absolutely. The reason shoplifting jumped like crazy during COVID-19 was because, again, prices went up, thus people couldn't afford food, so they started stealing that shit. So, yes. I mean, I personally have witnessed shoplifting when I've gone to the store. So, you know what I'm saying? It's happened. It happens when you don't have enough resources spread properly, spread evenly. When you're putting all this money, for example, our city that I live in Toronto, put way too much money in the police budget last year when our mayor, when we had a mayoral election recently, and we got a better mayor, but our previous mayor was shitty, put all this money into police. More and more money into the police, and crime still didn't go down. In fact, it kept going up because, again, inflation.
Yep. And he didn't hire any more police. So where did the money went? And there was a police shortage, and they didn't even hire any more police. There's still a police shortage. So what did they do with that money? Because I'm in Toronto too.
So you're right, COVID-19 and inflation together definitely increased crime. So I don't know what Cenk's talking about, how like just cash bail for some reason increased crime. No, cash bail eliminates the idea that if you have enough money you can get away with it. Essentially. Right? That you can just get out and be free. And if you're poor, well, you're fucked. You're going to be in some pre-trial prison like Rikers, I think, in New York. So, no, that's just bullshit. That didn't increase crime. Like I said, prison doesn't really stop crime. More cops doesn't really stop crime because they only react to crime. We need to actually go to the source.
So when I look
at
at
a certain
it,
point, I gotta cut you off because you've made a couple points that I definitely disagree with.
Right. So, let me just button it up this way.
Okay.
And there's other factors. But my point is, let's be open to how do we get to the right reform so we have justice and they don't beat up black guys for no reason, they don't beat up homeless people for no reason, they don't shoot people for no reason, but at the same time have a reasonable policy where we protect the citizens.
Okay,
PMG
great.
class.
So I've said this before. I'm not an abolitionist in the sense that, like, I don't believe that there is no necessity for a group of people, whether it's democratically organized or not, that will maintain the presence of law and order, but also solve crimes and do what police are theoretically supposed to do: protect and serve the community, protect and serve the people. In the United States of America, throughout the history of the United States of
Okay, this is where he destroys his argument, folks. He destroys Cenk's argument. Wow. This is amazing.
America, I do not believe that the police force, or whatever it was originally in its original inceptions, whether in the North they were the guys who were supposed to protect commerce in
Yep.
shipyards or
South
slave
slave
catchers in the
patrols.
South,
Yeah,
have
slave
ever
catchers.
done that.
Exactly.
They've always been protecting and serving the interests of capital. So that's definitely an issue that I
Definitely the slave patrols. That's what he first started out. Then there was they mentioned New York. Then there was official. Then you have to go. Then after that, there was one in. There was a organized police force. You say the first organized police was in England, actually. I would say, I think. Like in England. United Kingdom or England, actually. I don't know, it was Scottish. You know what I mean? But this week, they were like security. The North, they're like, you know what I mean? They're like in England in the 1900s. Let me see, at the turn of the century, by that time, they became an organized force and a paramilitary in a way. Like turn of the century, like early 1900s, around. I think around that. I remember, yeah.
have. Having said that, however, you brought up a couple different points that I disagree with in terms of defund the police and also about how less police have caused more crime, and crime has like exploded in cities and whatnot.
A contributing factor.
I do not believe that in the slightest. I do believe that what is known as the blue flu has created a lot of issues
COVID,
that police are supposed to theoretically solve, which they never really have done a good job with. If you look at their clearance rates, you will realize that.
Yep.
Okay, but beyond that, it's gotten even worse than it was before, because these are the most selfish, the most lazy, the most entitled, gigantically, insanely violent, uneducated paramilitary group that you could have ever fucking put together, and all of their ineptitude and criminal negligence is...
Yeah, they're a militarized force. It works for the government. It works for the elites. It works for the capitalists and the elites. It works for the ruling class.
Constitutionally protected. They have no right to fucking... They have no duty to actually have to protect you. They can shoot you if they perceive you to be a threat when you're running away. All of these things have been protected by the Supreme Court. The real reason is because police are supposed to be a violent brigade that will defend and protect the interests of capital. When
so they're trained to do that. That's why. It's no fault of their own. They're just brainwashed. They're trained to do that. Once they join the force, and the concept is there. The thing is, defund the police. Change the whole concept of the police. And make it less serving the elites and the capitalists and the ruling class, and serve the people and to protect the people, not just the elites. But Cenk wants to.
Push comes to shove. That is the reason why they are the way that they are. The idea that their funding is fine and that their numbers are diminishing, and that's what actually is like a real gigantic problem for crime, is, in my opinion, a historical and completely incorrect. They have gotten more money year over year, including in the defund the police years. Not a single fucking precinct, with, I believe, one exception. It might have been Minneapolis, if I'm not mistaken. Not a single fucking precinct actually had diminished resources or diminished funds. As a matter of fact, they got more money, and they got the most amount of money in comparison to all of the other amenities that the local governments are supposed to offer. The Los Angeles Police Department gets taxpayers $8 million a day to operate. And what is that operation? Not doing shit when a robbery is happening in front of them, okay? Now, if you ask them, they'll say, it's because you don't want me to be violent. You made me this way.
Yeah.
You don't want me to stop the crime, so I'm not doing it. They're like petulant little fucking children, okay, who refuse to do the fucking job that they are supposed to do. They have the best fucking workplace protections.
Yeah, I mean, everything Hasan's saying here is fucking fire. Wow, that number is insane. Yeah, I didn't even know that number, but to me it's not shocking. 8 million a day is... Yeah, like he said, LA, like, police forces have way too much money. Their budget is way too big, and their budget's only grown bigger. So the idea that Cenk's pushing that somehow police forces are becoming less and less and less is bullshit. That's not the case. Police force has actually grown. They're getting more and more budget. Now, what they do with that budget is on them. And they're militarizing the police. They're giving them...
And now they're doing, come out with police robots. And police dog robots. I think you mentioned it. He mentioned it in the stream. Maybe at the earlier part in the stream, he's going to mention it now, I think. Well, of course, they have drones. And they have all these weapons from the wars. I mean, defense contractors. Militarized weapons they have.
More gear, more power to do more things that they want to do, right? And more money means they're able to lobby more, police unions are able to lobby more, politicians more, get more concessions, get more rights for the police officers to basically do whatever the fuck they want to do. it's very hard to sue police officers because there was a constitutional case, I forgot the name of it, in America that protects police officers essentially. So, yes, he's right. So, I don't know what Cenk's point is. Like, where does he disagree with defunding the police? Does he just want like a bit of police reform, but essentially have them as the same institution as before? Which I definitely don't agree with. They need serious restructuring.
Exactly.
I myself am not an abolishionist, but maybe, I don't know, maybe one day we don't need it, but I mean, policing, I think we will need policing, but maybe not in the way we have it now.
Has to be like a
They basically live in like a
big the whole thing has to be a total reform, like a big, totally different for what it is now, I believe.
like a social democracy. They're the only
money
individuals
comes power.
in
Yes.
society that have like fat pension programs and permanent job security. And then on top of that, what is their job? Is to be able to fucking shoot people if they want to and get away with it. It's fucking insane.
So-
It's nuts. The entire structure is
You put it really well
fundamentally
there.
broken, and that is by design. They are supposed to be that way. They are supposed to operate that way because when push comes to shove, when people are rioting in the streets or whatever, when
I also remembered the police have historically also fought against labor. So whenever there have been labor movements in America or in Canada, the police force has been used as a way of trying to destroy those labor movements. Especially back in the day, before body cameras and shit like that, they used to like kill people. They used to brutalize them, harass them, just for demanding better wages and benefits and better hours. So the police is a institution and a group of people that have been created to defend the ruling class and the capital class, which in this case would be the capitalists, and also defending the ruling class, which I guess would be the politicians as well. But really it's the capitalists, because the politicians are simply the tools of capitalists. So yes, the police definitely defend capital. And if you look at the history of the labor history of America, Canada, and many countries around the world, you'll see that's the case, that the police force have been used to destroy labor movements and defend capital. Cenk acts like he doesn't know all of this. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the fuck he doesn't know all this, considering he's been part of progressive spaces for 20 years.
The inherent contradictions become ever present, and people start to react to that in either direction, okay? Whether it's like reactionary activity, 3%ers and the like, or whether it's like people fucking throwing Molotov cocktails or whatever because they're losing their minds at the reality that they have no economic prospects and it feels like their lives are getting progressively shittier, okay? They will sit there and they will put their fucking police force in rich neighborhoods and protect those people and ensure that storefronts are not damaged.
Yeah.
So, there's actually a lot I agree with you on. The main difference is that I think all those factors contribute, whereas you think the biggest factor is the cops basically not doing their job, / their job was always misdirected in the first place, right? So I don't disagree with you on that at all. I just think that that's a big part of the
Also, it's
equation,
corruption,
but not
too.
the whole equation. So, and I'll give you a couple of examples from...
There's a lot of corruption. That's another factor too.
LA to give you a sense of what I think are the issues. So in terms of the funding or the number of cops, I think that is a factor. You don't think it's a factor, but I actually think it's a relatively small factor.
If that was the case,
So-
then policing would have gotten better year
Hold-
over
hold
year
on,
as
hold
their
on,
funds
hold on.
grew,
Let me- hold
right?
on. And so by the way though, hold on, don't make that argument, Huss, because crime statistics got way better throughout the years as police budgets did get larger, right? So that doesn't really help your argument. Now, but I don't think it's that
Did it?
simple either. I don't think it was
No,
just
it
the
didn't.
police budgets. No, there was a lot of different things that happened with crime that made crime go lower, including, by the way, lead in the walls and the paints and the cars. So very complicated issue, right?
Yeah,
But
I'm glad that you at least brought up the lead point.
Really? It's not because of our police budgets. I don't think so. Oh, I think he's full of it. Actually, crime has gone down. I mean, from last year, I think. So I looked it up. Really violent crime has gone up, but crime itself has gone down from last year, from 2022. So I looked it up. Mm. A couple of months ago.
Because crime
Lead?
has globally gone down
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
areas where police budgets
but it
have
just doesn't help
not
your
gone
cause.
up as high as the United States of
You
America.
can look it up.
I'm just pointing out that
you look
I
it
mean,
up. The
it doesn't.
crime stats.
Yeah, I mean, crime definitely has like the COVID, like crime during COVID exploded. There were more police budgeting during COVID. More police got a lot more money in
Exactly.
North America, at least. And the crime hasn't gone down because of the police or at all. Like certain crimes, especially, like I said, shoplifting has definitely gone up. So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're saying, like what Cenk is saying. More policing might put more people in jail, but it doesn't stop more people. It doesn't really stop the crime. It's not going to really get rid of the crime. We really have to solve the material conditions. And the police force will never do that because they're here to protect the capital, the ruling class. So they're not the solution here. It's really taking that bloated budget and reducing it to whatever, to the necessary amount that the police need to do their job, taking the rest and putting it into social services. Exactly. Yes.
Help your cause to say that the budgets have gone up and crime has gone down. That did happen. I don't
Where?
think there's a great correlation either. Don't get me
Well,
wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think and I agree with you that the bigger problem, the cops not doing their
it's
job,
not even true.
is in a story
He's
that I'm
making
going to
up
tell you.
stuff.
But it's also because
Jake
of some
is
of the
us-
laws
He's just making up stuff, folks.
that we passed. And so
Okay.
now some very violent crimes are misdemeanors. And they should not be
Which
misdemeanors.
crimes?
Because misdemeanors get pled down to nothing. Felonies get pled down to misdemeanors. Misdemeanors get pled down to nothing.
Like petty.
Okay?
Yeah.
So no one's talking about that.
What do-
That
what
is
do-
a
what
giant
crime-
Yeah,
part
what
of
crime is he
crimes
talking
are you
Some
about?
talking
sexual assaults are misdemeanors. Okay, that's insane. It's totally insane.
So,
the guy
Okay, here's the problem. The prison system and the justice system has been always very bad with SA, rape, sexual harassment, whatever. All these sexual crimes, the system has always been really, really bad at it. Most rapists don't even see a jail cell, and most rape doesn't even get reported. You can look up the stats if you guys want. So, because a lot of people, women especially, don't have any faith in the system and actually protecting them. So it's not like it's recently got bad. It's always kind of been bad.
Mr. T.
Now,
To
I
Mr.
do
T.
think that if he's right and sexual assault has been moved from a felony to a misdemeanor, that is wrong. It should definitely be a felony, for sure. No fucking chance it should be a misdemeanor. But again, with Cenk, okay, for the sake of argument, let's just say it's true. I would disagree with that, but that doesn't mean that suddenly I just say, yeah, the whole defund the police movement is bad. I mean, defund the police movement would probably also say that that's bad and it should be a felony.
New York subway took
Nothing to do.
Cenk
took a
blaming
dump.
SA for not
It's-
being a felony. Yeah, I know, right? Like it's the current system right now that's doing that shit.
Exactly.
Not the progressives. No
So
progressives gonna
defund
sit here and say,
police.
yeah, I don't think SA should be a misdemeanor instead of felony. Did you know that many parts of the U.S. it's still technically legal for a police officer to arrest someone and then coerce them into sex exchange for letting them go? Yes, like a lot of these anti-prostitution laws, they have that shit where police officers can essentially sleep with a sex worker, like trick them into sleeping with them, claiming that they're a client, and then arrest them. But they're legally allowed to have sex with them. That's like, wouldn't that be like considered rape because you're lying to the person about who you are in order to like have sex with them, and they think you're a client when
I
you're
think it's more like entrapment. I think it's more like an entrapment.
actually a fucking police officer. So they're legally allowed to do that. Just insane. Great point, H-Man.
Smeared on a woman's
can't-
face, and that was a misdemeanor. How is that a misdemeanor?
I don't know if they're legally allowed, I guess, but how could that be considered entrapment? You're not allowed to do that, I think. Even if they're allowed to, yeah. I don't know, maybe some laws are different, I don't know. Depends on where jurisdiction, but I don't know. It seems like it's an entrapment to me.
misdemeanor. Are you insane?
Okay.
Okay, look. And maybe some mistakes were made there, and they should have made some of those things misdemeanors. And that's exactly my point. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and you don't have to go to extremes and say
No
you
one's
should only focus on
doing
one or
that.
the other, right? But now I'll give you an anecdote that is an example of the type of thing that happens. So I have a neighbor who's...
By the way, we're not operating under the principle that like New York, the New York Police Department, or
Fuck
the
the
New York
NYPD.
court
They're
structure,
the worst.
or New York in general, currently led by a cop mayor, is in any way, shape, or form
Eric Adams.
like engaging in police abolition, right? Or
No.
defunding the police.
No, but...
Because it is more expensive to run the NYPD than like multiple countries' military.
Yeah, I don't think the budget is the issue in New York. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
so let me give you that
But you
anecdote.
used the poop example to, you know.
No, that example was not about budgeting at all. That example was, if that's a misdemeanor, it gets pled down to nothing. So we have to make sure the serious crimes are felonies.
Okay. By the way, so you and I
Where's the
do
cops?
agree on NYPD not being underfunded, but if you ask the NYPD, they are the most underfunded.
Oh, of course, they're always going to say that.
Okay.
Look, are you
so,
kidding me?
So they're lying. Okay.
So here, I'm gonna get to that in a second. Of course they're lying. Of course they are.
Yeah.
So it's not,
They want
what do
more
I
money.
trust? Do I just trust cops? No way. So let me explain. So I have a neighbor. We wound up having some deranged person.
Also,
on
that
the
guy was
street.
charged with felonies, apparently. The poop man.
Okay, so good. I'm happy that he was, but you know,
Oh my god, so Cenk just got debunked right there on stream. The poop guy. I like how we call him that. But the poop guy got a felony. So where is this felony to misdemeanor shit happening, Cenk? We need to know where that's happening.
made up
If
stuff.
it's happening at all. Because he just got debunked on stream. That is
Anecdotal
so
stuff. That's all he's doing.
So the question,
you make
in
up-
that situation.
See, that's what they do. They make up anecdotal stuff. That's what they do on their show. Anecdotal stuff, and they make it into a big, like, this is actually happening. Like, that's what these guys do on their show.
Though is
but
like,
originally he was let go. And
Why-
so we have to like
Really?
so
Okay.
that's an example. There are many examples, but let's if you want to dive into that one and see what
Well,
went
you-
wrong.
it's
as to
your
why he
anecdote.
was let
Joke.
go.
I know.
That's great. Let's find out why he
No, no,
was
no.
let go because he definitely should not have been let go.
okay, so you brought up an anecdote.
So that
but,
was
like,
about cash bail.
So he
got out
happy
because
there
there
was
was
no
no
cash
cash bail.
Okay,
Right?
got it.
So
Cash
okay.
bail was
These
important
guys
to talk about as
You know,
well,
this
which is
guy's
really,
a-
really important,
And this guy's supposed to be a lawyer, or former lawyer, Cenk, but
especially with the conditions in Rikers as the way that they are.
Yeah, preach
One
on
Yeah,
reason
I'll get
why.
to that. Hold on.
one-
Can I just tell the story because it informs
Okay, but
the
I
rest
have
of the
to-
conversation?
I didn't think that I had to fact check you on something, but like, of course, we're gonna have to cut through for a second. You know what I mean?
Okay, so why was he let go? Was it cash bail or a felony misdemeanor issue? Because it was definitely one of them.
I don't know why he was let go.
Okay,
You're the
that
one
guy
who brought
was
it
let
up.
go
I
like
did not
11
know.
times. If I misremembered and it was 12 or 9, okay, correct it. No big deal. I'm happy to
Okay.
have whatever it was corrected. But there's a million examples of like
Okay, can I-
just like that.
The
You know
reason why
examples
cash
is
bail
bullshit.
and all of these kinds of, I guess,
millions of them. Really, I don't believe that.
supposedly progressive
He
implementations
just makes stuff
are
up.
happening is not because
Makes
people
stuff
have George Soros-backed district attorneys that want to undermine the American criminal justice system.
Yeah, it's because pretrial prisons like Rikers have horrific conditions. Like I saw the people who have died in there, the people who have literally been living in packed like freaking fish in a crate together and like surrounded by poop.
I mean,
like we've seen some horrific
really-
shit out of Rikers.
So are you really serious about criminal justice reform, Cenk? Are you really serious about it? I don't think so. You're talking making about incremental changes. That's what he talks about. Not really about big changes. Not just knows all these policies. He talks about incremental changes. He always talks about nuance, but you don't want to go further, like little small changes. That's with the police. You want police reform by little tiny changes. Criminal justice reform, same thing. The whole justice system, the cops, the whole thing has to be a total reform, not just incremental changes like you want to do, Mr. Cenk Uygur.
And that's a pre-trial prison, bro. What the fuck? Like, you're not even charged yet and you're living in conditions like that. Like, no. See, this is why we gotta get rid of cash bail so people don't have to live in that shit. Obviously, that can't just be the only thing we do, but that is a thing we need to do. God, Cenk just needs to do more research on this shit, man. Olyemi is a great channel. Olyemi Olertini, I think that's her name. I could be wrong here. Is a great channel because I think she's a lawyer who fights for prison justice, prison reform and all that. And she has a really good understanding.
Yeah, I've seen her channel. She has a great channel. She's a public defender, I think, and she works for the New York State. She's a public defender, and she's a prisoner abolitionist. She's the abolishment movement. The abolish movement to get rid of the prisons, or change the prison system how it is. Doesn't mean abolish. Well, kind of abolish it, but change it in the way it is now. But she's a public defender, I think, in New York.
Of this, especially in New York. So she is from New York, so you should check out her channel.
It is out of necessity because of how draconian the American criminal justice system is that we simply do not have.
Sir, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but with no cash bail, isn't it still up to the judge's discretion if they're released? At least in Illinois it is.
Ha.
Yeah, I mean, even with no cash bail, you do have to get permission, I think. Yes. Well, the problem is, like, with cash bail, not only do you have to get permission, I think, but, like, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money. They get to set what the bail is. The judge will get to set the bail is. So it's still a problem, but I think at least that way there's no financial discrimination against anybody. But I guess it could change based on states, though. I think maybe some states you need permission, maybe other states you don't. I don't know. I think it's really would have to be based on what the laws of the state are.
Enough space in our carceral state that currently houses, chains 25% of the entire population's incarcerated population, despite America being only 4% of the world's entire population. We have an overpopulation and overcrowding problem in our prison system, and that problem didn't happen overnight. It did not materialize out of nowhere. It happened with centuries of having the most draconian outlook on crime and punishment and refusing to analyze the structural issues that cause crime. The poverty cycle, the cycle of poverty and violence. That is why we are now at a situation where our prison population, our prisons are filled to the fucking brim, and the alternative is what? Like building more prisons, I guess, instead of trying to push for a different way of trying to solve the underlying reasons as to why crime and mental disorder manifests in the public. That is my argument.
Yeah. No, so listen.
How does he have more like brains than his uncle? I mean, how he does not. Well, I don't know. He seems like the lawyer than he does. Like he's more of a. I think Cenk Uygur is supposed to be the big lawyer, so he should know these things. I mean, especially about the criminal justice system, he should know more than he does.
If you say we imprison way too many people, I 100% agree. But then you've got to break it down. So why did we imprison too many people?
What's the name of the YouTube channel you mentioned? Okay, let me quickly go and find it, guys. Okay? I think I should be able to find it right now. Give me a sec.
The one girl. Marijuana.
Yay! Here we go. Found it. Okay, so here's the channel. Olernetti the show. Her name is Olernetti. Oh, so she changed the name. My bad. Olernetti the show. That's her name. I was saying Olerin. So you can check it out. And her recent video, which I have put on my watch later list, It's called Eric Adams, the worst mayor in America. I'm going to be watching that because, wow, I mean, I've heard some crazy shit about him, so I want to know more about him, and this directly ties in with the topics of this video, so definitely go watch that. Her channel is great. Olorneti, the show. She's very, very well informed on these issues, and she's debated TYT on these issues, so you can go watch that video through it. So, yes, very, very good channel. Go check it out, everybody. Alright, let's get back to this.
Because we had insane drug laws. That marijuana possession was a very serious crime, right?
I'm going to watch that video next.
Jails with people.
Good idea.
There's one.
Drug laws. How about the crack cocaine also?
Over
Reason.
marijuana.
There's one other reason.
What's that?
There's a material reason for it. Slavery.
Yeah, I got you. So, and we built private prisons. The private prisons fund the politicians.
No,
All that
no.
is
Private
true.
prisons are a minor,
Oh, man.
even though they are
He
like
doesn't get it. Oh.
objectively.
I think what Hasan's talking about slavery is he's talking about how you can legally make prisoners do labor without paying them.
14.
So that would be slavery. Like, yeah, that's what he's talking. I think it has to do with one of the constitutional amendments. I forgot what.
The 14th, I think. 14th Amendment. I think it's the 14th.
Which one? Which does legally allow that. So it's essentially slavery.
One of the most cruel and inhumane things that you could do that like Europeans look to and go, what the fuck, you guys have that? Like you guys capitalize and profit off of the existence of fucking prisons? Like that's nuts. That's a small part of the puzzle, small part of the conversation.
So,
the state prison structure also relies on slavery as a form of punishment.
Oh, I just noticed that on
But,
follow the channel. Is she a leftist? Yes. If Cenk is a progressive, he should know the way to prevent many of these crimes is to put money back into these communities. Exactly. This is exactly what defund the police is trying to do. Put the money back.
Yeah, he's not really a progressive. Remember, he's not really a progressive though. He's a capitalist. He's a populist capitalist. That's what he is. There you go. A populist capitalist. That's what he is.
Back into the communities instead of putting more money into the police.
Yeah.
First of all,
But
I
Cenk
think
doesn't get it.
prisons were far
No,
too
you
many.
never-
And we were in prison.
He's never gonna get it, folks. It's not what you think he is. And this is supposed to be the largest progressive channel. And these guys are doing talking points for the right wing. Ben Superior, like doing. This is what they would say. Like we're leftists. So we leftists wouldn't agree with him. And he's more of Hasan. Even his views are kind of weird. But Hasan, but certainly his views are more leftist than Cenk. But Cenk is not really a leftist. These guys are like liberals. But they're progressive, more like liberals. We gotta really question if they're, you know what I mean? They're progressives. I don't think so. They're more like liberals.
Too many people.
Sometimes they're shit liberals too.
And mainly on drug charges. And yes, there are nefarious other reasons that you point out, I point out, private prisons, you point out slavery. And yes, slavery is real. They make them work for $1 or less per day, which is ridiculous. I
They
know,
do get
and
$1, I
fight
guess.
against all of it.
Cenk said,
Now,
get your
have
money
you-
up, not your funny up. You said, get your money up to the fucking to the prison system. You know, pay these motherfuckers more.
So, okay. But look, but at the end of the day, what is it that we're putting people in prison for? If you say just generically, okay, let's have less people in prison, that doesn't make any sense. What? Okay, should we let out
Yeah, well,
murderers,
this is
rapists?
more than-
No one's saying put less people in prison.
Of course not, right? So the question is, what should people go to prison for? So we all
I'd
agree
say
they
violent
should not go
crimes.
to prison for marijuana possession. That's insane, right? But we all agree that they should go to prison for murder and rape.
I mean,
and,
we should be. I mean, less prison is like less people like because they go to crime. They've been put in the fair for violent crimes. protect the society, but not some certain crimes. Certain people shouldn't be in prison. Like most of these people on drug charges, probably, some of these people are they're in there because they're addiction, so they shouldn't be in prison. Even some petty crimes they do, they shouldn't be in prison. They shouldn't have long sentences either. I mean, but this is like an industry for the U.S. It's a profit industry. That's why it's not gonna change.
And the horrible crimes.
Yes.
So now we might disagree around the edges, but those are important edges. Right?
Yes.
And so,
But
say the
nobody's saying
prisons
that
are
we
awful. I totally agree. I don't know why we allow for the prisons to be disgusting, right? And how they treat people, the solitary confinement.
I mean,
so
the average existence of a poor person in America is disgusting. Why the fuck would they care about prisoners on?
Exactly. They don't care. They don't care, man. They don't give a damn. The ruling class, they don't care. They don't care one bit.
Top of that,
no,
nobody
but
cares.
what we do in the prisons is beyond
of course.
inhumane. And
of course.
So for there's all
Like
the jokes like
even the homeless, they don't even care. I'm sorry to say that they don't care. Sorry, folks. On the homeless, especially a guy like Cenk, he doesn't care.
you're gonna go to prison, you're gonna get raped. Why is that funny? Why is that a thing that we think is normal?
That's not funny.
No, rape is not normal.
Terrible.
People going to prison and getting raped is not
That's terrible.
normal. That's insane, right? So do we need massive reform of the prisons? Yes. Do we actually need to spend more money to make those
I assume they're
prisons
getting around to a point.
bearable?
Yeah, at
and I
some
don't mean
point.
just give it to the guards. I don't mean just give it to the warden. I mean actually make the prisons bearable. And we know that creates less crime. Look at Norway. Recidivism is much lower in Norway, and they have much more humane prisons. So reasonable people agree, progressives agree, the great majority of the country agrees.
Okay, but the thing with Norway is that they have a lot of
I don't think so.
money into social programs as
I don't think everybody agrees. I don't know about that.
well. That is very important to point out.
And that's the problem.
Those countries, like the Netherlands, like Denmark and stuff like that, they have very, very good social programs. So that is also another reason why the repeating
Yeah, they will have more a better safety net.
repeating offenders are there's so little of them. So like there's so little repeating of the offenses because of social spending, because the prisons aren't fucking evil and they're humane, So that needs to be pointed out too, Cenk. It's not just because the prisons are fucking nice. It's not just because they get good food and they have a TV in there and they're not getting, raped all the time. Or at all, So it's like just making prisons
And there's better security too.
like more cushy, like more fun is not gonna stop that. It's really the social programs. Obviously, I am in favor of making prisons more humane, but I'm just saying, the social program is the biggest reason. Cenk.
But yet our goddamn politicians won't do it. So those
Exactly.
are great places
Cushy,
to
it's not
start.
cushy prisons.
When
Exactly.
you get to the
Social
issue of
program.
cash bail, Haas, I was in favor of it, but now it
Why aren't you-
clearly shows that there's a problem with recidivism. So can we
Recidivism.
agree, hey, you get no cash bail on the first one.
Can I say something?
But on the second one, if you do another crime,
You wanna do it
then
too-
you need cash to get out of. Sorry, then you need bail because you are incorrigible. You're committing more and more crimes.
Okay, but why are they committing more and more crimes? We've been over this, Cenk, because they don't
Just wrap it
have
up.
like the opportunities they should in order to lead a better life. Poverty is still a problem. Housing is a problem. Healthcare is a problem. Inflation's a problem. COVID is a problem. These problems.
Why they lock them? Well, that's because of the damn judge. He letting them out, not because of the bail. And it's in the discretion of the judge. But they're gonna see something here, folks. You're gonna say that, oh, maybe they shouldn't be left up to the judge. We don't think so. Because if we believe in the Constitution, in If you like 3 strikes, when they're gonna mention here, it's gonna be 3 strikes you're out. You don't believe in the. You don't believe in the justice system in a way, you don't believe in judges. I mean, you just believe and as a lawyer, you should be against that. Don't leave it up to a judge what she's gonna say.
Need to be fixed. Otherwise, people are going to continue to do those crimes, right? So cash bail on its own, yeah, it's not going to fix it. So you're against cash bail. No, sorry, you're for cash bail because people are repeat offenders.
He's for it. He's not really for it. I don't think he's really for it, folks. You're just having it both ways. You are either against it or you're not. I don't think he's really for it.
So now you're for cash bail, and you're completely ignoring the other stuff that is required to make sure that they don't offend repeatedly. What? That doesn't make any sense, Cenk. I don't understand what his idea is.
And I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you brutalize the citizens because it's not fair. It's not just. We have to talk about the things that are real, that are in the middle.
Hold on. This is important because let's walk through some
Brutalize
stuff.
the citizens? How? The one guy does one random guy does that, punch a woman in the face, you're gonna change the whole you're gonna change the whole thing. I mean, and it should be up to a judge. It's judge discretion. That's why he's out, not because of the bail, the money.
Of here, because last time you were here, you brought up some talking points that were just I was fundamentally at odds with, and this is another issue of disagreement, a point of contention. Okay, as far as cash bail goes, walk me through what you think happens in that structure. Like, do you think that someone goes up in front of a judge and they're like a habitual reoffender?
Oh, jeez, a lot of people in the chat. Hasan should stop streaming. Still waiting for solutions from Cenk. Reviews to get at the root of the problem. Is there a homeless guy in his neighborhood again? Yeah, I think so. Probably why he's this mad. When you say police defend the capital, are you talking about the fact that police culture generally prioritizes defending property rights over protecting the people? Yes, I mean that. They definitely protect property rights over people. They also defend the capitalist class against any sort of social change.
Yeah, because he has a bad take on homelessness too. Him and Anna. Or Anna's even worse, actually.
If people are protesting or like, anything like that, they will send the police to, stop that. Majority of BLM protests, for example, were peaceful, and most of the violence was started by the police, actually. So even in peaceful situations, the police will instigate the violence, and they're defending his property, but they're also defending, when I said the ruling class, what I mean is they're defending the status quo, defending the system, defending the way it is right now, and they will fight against any progressive stuff. Like, for example, they arrest climate change protesters all the time.
Yeah.
Right? They defend that, but they do nothing to actually help. They don't arrest the people destroying our planet. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they arrest the people trying to stop that destruction, but they don't arrest the people who are actively engaging in that destruction. Like, they'll arrest indigenous people for protecting their land. Like, up here in Canada, we have many disputes, land disputes, like the Wet'suwet'en people in, I think, British Columbia, which is the west coast of Canada, are protecting their land from, oil drilling and I think there's another word, fracking, is that what they call it? And they saying it's going to destroy the environment. The RCMP, the Royal Canada Mounted Police, are arresting them, but they're not arresting the people trying to destroy that land. So that's what I mean, and that's what we mean. They defend capital and defend the ruling class.
And the judge just goes, "Oh, there's no cash bail, so you're released." Do you think that's what happens?
No, they have to get permission.
Unfortunately, a great amount of time is what happens.
Exactly.
Okay. No, It's not a great amount of times where that happens. It does certainly happen, though. I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but this is, in many respects, the classic Michael Dukakis moment where crime is a hot button issue and it invokes a lot of passion out of people. So anecdotes work really well in comparison.
Exactly. He's saying that so much. There's millions of incidents like this. It's not. Cenk is saying. I mean, and it's up to the judge. The judge's discretion.
To actual empirical evidence. The problem with cash bail is not that like people just keep stealing cars. You can give me 1,000 examples overall of being like, this guy's a carjacker and he got released immediately and he jacked another car, right? Ultimately, the data does not show these people are becoming repeat offenders, and what you are describing is an issue within the criminal justice system with a singular judge, or maybe some judges that fuck up every now and then.
These judges, that's the problem. Some of these judges are terrible. I mean, you gotta look at that too.
Because ultimately, if someone is
and there's overcrowding in the prison system, especially in New York. They didn't mention it, Rikers.
Habitual reoffender, the job of the judge that you are bringing up is to say, no, dog, you're a poop guy. You're the guy. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You've smeared too much poop. Like, this is your second time doing this. I'm not offering you bail, because cash bail does not mean that judges have no power to offer. Judges have no power to stop you from, entering.
He's a stupid argument, Cenk, guys. It's a dumbass argument.
Carceral facility at any given moment.
Just say no bail.
You're not going to get bail anyway.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that is
But Haas, then you agree with me that if you do it a second time, that you need to pay bail?
I don't think that legislating that is the smart decision, because, well, if you
go ahead.
Well, then
why don't you think
you should have?
3 strikes law would be a smart idea.
Exactly.
Okay, no, 3 strikes is you lose your entire life.
Yeah.
You lose.
Yeah.
Etc. And so. No, there's a difference. There was a guy in Louisiana that was serving a life sentence for stealing a pair of hedge clippers, right?
Okay,
but that's a different issue.
The principle
than,
behind
hey, I'm letting you out to do another crime and another crime and another crime.
The principle.
I'm asking you, like, so
it's not even happening.
if it's not 2, is it 3? Is it 4?
What you're describing is literally
it is kind of 3 strikes
in that
law.
way
Yeah.
is quite literally running into the same exact problem that feeds into the carceral state, whereas. No, the problem there is judges should have discretion, and they should apply that discretion appropriately, rather than saying they are no longer able to apply discretion.
That's how the law goes. That's what they're there for. So he doesn't excuse. That's the problem with this the 3 strikes law. Because the judges doesn't do does the job for them. The three strikes law. And they can do a petty crime, and they get life in. That could be it. 3 strikes. But that was bad. That was bad too in the first place. They're supposed to do their job. Like do discretion. I mean, if they're doing bad rulings. I mean, bad outcomes. They're not supposed to. If they're releasing like criminals, I mean they shouldn't be judges then. I mean, they're not protecting the public, and he shouldn't be a judge. Sorry. It's not because of cash bail.
Whatsoever, because the law does not permit you. Because
I'm perfectly comfortable saying if someone does, especially if you go to 3 crimes, they got let out with no bail.
3 strikes law.
Sorry,
that's
brother.
quite literally the principle.
The law.
You're describing the principle behind the 3 strikes law.
You want to go into that? That's terrible. That goes in. That's a whole bunch of another. He created another problem.
Except for the fact that one is about bail, and you're going to get an actual court date where you will receive justice and you will receive a trial,
which of course,
etc. The other one is we take your liberty away for the rest of your life.
Which of course brings us back.
Difference.
Which of course brings us back to the major reason as to why people are just kind of letting people go, and that is that Rikers is an insane place to even fucking exist. And no, a lot of those people are not getting their fucking day in court.
So what if it's a misdemeanor? 3rd time, So that means you don't get bail, and it's not as bad, and it's not even a violent crime. So So that means you go to jail. I mean, you won't get bail then. It's the same shit. Could be pretty like it's pretty the poop guy. Say it's like he stole something, or he did I don't know if he did a fraud or he did right. So he read something. He did fraud. So it's a victim. Say it's a victimless crime, and so that's the third time. So he wouldn't get bail. It's the same shit. It's the same thing. It's a lesser crime than what he did. So that means he wouldn't get bail on the Jenks, Jenks idea.
Immediately, because the courts are fucking backed up,
I know.
because we have an incredibly draconian criminal justice system.
That's
with
why you shouldn't
no...
commit 3 crimes in a row, because you don't want to go to Rikers.
Okay, that's awesome that you
That's
said that.
stupid.
Because
Really?
you think
Go to
that
Vikings.
higher sentences
Exactly.
or more
Yeah, it
aggressive
doesn't do anything.
ways
It
of
doesn't
punishing
stop it.
crime is an adequate deterrent
It's not. It's not, folks.
strategy when there is not a single piece
I
of
think there's studies doesn't prevent crime. I mean, even the death penalty. They say that they do the death penalty because it prevents crime. Even though I'm actually for the death penalty in certain instances, certain cases. But I don't know. Now I may not. I kind of. But it's terrible. That's the same argument with the death penalty. You say they're not going to commit the crime because it's like murder. If they fear that they're going to be gonna be executed. I mean, so it's a deterrent. But the argument that it's not. Some say it's because it's so long. In death row it takes so long to okay, it might be 10 years. You might get 10 years wait in this jail in the prison 10 years to get waiting to be executed, and they say that's why it's so you know what I mean, so long. That's why it's not a deterrent. Even though, but there's studies that well, anyway, I think even if it's not, even they executed people like they would be it would take to it wouldn't do it doesn't stop the crime. The crime rate still doesn't it's not a deterrent to the crime, preventing crime. And so these things here, they say that it will prevent crime. It doesn't. That will prevent crime if you're in Rikers. It's the prison's full. Who are gonna go to Rikers? They might not send you to Rikers. They might have maybe another prison. I mean, and some people in their mind, the criminal mind is different. They don't really see. They don't think about the consequences when there's a whole bunch of things going on. If you commit a crime, one if you're they're mentally ill, they're mentally unstable. You think they're gonna think about that? They're gonna think, oh, I'm not gonna go to Rikers because it's terrible. They're kind of mentally unstable. So you think they're gonna think about that? That's gonna stop them, especially when they're mentally unstable. It's nonsense, man. This guy is crazy. All he does is propaganda. I mean, for these, he thinks he's a so-called criminal justice reform. Talks about that, and I don't know. This guy's a progressive. You might say, that's right. He's not a progressive, but he's a so-called progressive. I mean,
of paper
No,
that
it's not
you
about
could
Yeah, I
point.
know. Cenk actually saying that is great because I think he's at least revealing what his real feelings on the issue are.
Yep.
Because
He doesn't care.
use the fear of Rikers and horrible places like that as a
He
way
doesn't
of
really
saying
care.
don't do crime.
He's really a lock 'em up guy. That's what he really is. Lock people up. Lock all the bad guys up. No nuance to that. I don't think he really believes some of the shit. He believes in some of the shit he believes. I don't think he really believes some of the stuff he says.
It hasn't worked.
To throughout, you just gave that as a reason for deterrence.
No,
It doesn't work.
No, brother.
It doesn't work. It has never
No,
worked.
no, hold on. So when a guy commits 3 crimes in a row, I'm not worried about deterrence. I'm worried about getting
Yes,
him
he's
the
revealed
fuck
himself.
off the street so he stops punching defenseless women in the face while they're trying to get to.
You just mentioned deterrence, though. That's going to be a deterrence. You just mentioned it. You said records will be a deterrent.
To work, okay?
So
I'm going to take his ass off the street. You've committed enough goddamn crimes, and we're going to put you away. And if
I'm
you want to
shocked-
cry about it, well,
Who's it,
sad
Dan?
day for you.
I'm shocked
You shouldn't
that-
have punched a poor lady in the subway 3 freaking different times.
So where's the goddamn security on the subway? It's supposed to be. Isn't there supposed to be the police there? For one thing. So-called police. I mean, the transit police, I guess. There should be a lot of cops, right? They're not all these cops. They have a lot of cops in New York, but somehow they're not there where they're supposed to be. Some cases, a lot of cases.
Times. in
I'm
the face.
shocked that you do not
Oh, is he
see.
talking about
On the
Jordan?
one hand, you have sympathy for the other guy who was swept
Jordan
away
Neely?
under the same draconian rules when he like
Because
got
that guy
caught for
can't get out of
stealing.
prison for life. The
I
other
know.
guy just has to go to trial and prove he didn't do it.
Okay, so the guy that was suspected, because you don't have to actually do a crime
Yeah, but if you
to like get thrown in Rikers, right?
Yeah.
The guy that was
Exactly.
suspected
Yes,
in a
and
situation
that does happen.
in a situation
but
where
much more common occurrence is guys doing crimes over.
no,
and
but
over.
if you do what he, like I said, if you under your new idea, you said you want if you commit three strikes, you don't get bail. So what if he does a stupid crime, like a non-victimless crime? A non-victimless. A crime that's victimless. So that means he doesn't get bail. The same thing as these 3 strikes. So it's the same thing as that guy. It's the same shit. But he's right. You want him to go to. It's okay for this guy, but not for the other guy. He's gonna go. He's gonna get no bail. It's the same thing. What if he does another crime? It's not victimless crime. Maybe fraud or something. You write something. You fill out something that's fraud or something. Commit fraud. So that means under his what law he wants, 3 strikes under bail. He doesn't get bail. It's the same thing. And it's a petty crime, victimless crime. So it's the same thing. The guy steals a machete, whatever, or if he steals something, goes and steals something, shoplift. It's the same thing. He gets no bail. It's the same thing. So your argument is the exact same thing. They're right.
Over and over and over and over.
okay, no, that's not.
Recidivism is like the
common.
#1 problem.
Recidivism-
A tiny amount of
rec-
criminals
recidivism-
create a
Not because of
giant
cash
number of
bail.
crimes.
I know that recidivism
It's not
doesn't
because of cash bail.
happen specifically on the bail side, though. Recidivism is
There's no stats. Is there any stats to that?
All people
Could
who
he
were
back
incarcerated.
it up with any stats? Someone should have fact checked him there.
that get out of prison
Yeah, it's
after
not just
serving
about
their
bail, it's
sentence,
not even on
Cenk.
the
There is
bail
a much
end.
larger number of people that are serving prison sentences and getting out and then engaging in crime again,
Exactly.
rather than like being apprehended for a moment, being detained, and then fucking going out and doing the crime again. That's not
So
recidivism.
you're just
Yeah.
talking past reality. You guys are going into the. Hold on,
You
hold
ain't
on,
not-
hold on. You guys are going into story. Guys,
You're not in reality, buddy. You're not in reality. You're not taking the big picture. Like you think all these anecdotal stuff. That's what these guys do. Actually, they do a little anecdotal stuff. They're not really real. They're not real. They're not real in reality. You're not in reality. They're not in reality. Cenk and Anna. That's why I don't really listen to them on crime. When they talk about crime and punishment and homelessness, I mean, I don't really listen to them. I don't really, the other stuff they could be okay on. You should just keep just doing strictly politics. Talk about the Republicans. And forget about these other, and talk about the economy. They shouldn't talk about crime and punishment, the homelessness, and the police. They shouldn't talk about that. They're kind of terrible on it. They used to be okay on it. But now but I don't know if they're really for it, and because maybe they got the numbers, the audience love it when they talk about the cops. But now you know what I mean? I wonder. I mean, that's why they really did it. They don't really care about it. You know what I mean, in that sense, they think a little reform. That's all they care about a little bit of reform that might help. But no, it's gonna be has to be a mass change, especially in the U.S. Justice system. But they don't really care about that. A little bit. The so-called elite, the PMC class, the ruling class like them, they only care about that. A little bit of incremental changes. That's all they care about.
harassing people on the streets, etc. And they're walking, brother.
What does he mean they're past reality? No, the repeat offenders are not happening because of bail, bro. It's because of the prison system just doesn't do a good job on. That's why. Hello Burgundy. But yeah, that's why it's happening. Not because of bail. Not because of no cash bail. Come on.
walking. And that's why they're coming back and doing it again and again and again. If you say that's
where
not
Cenk's
happening,
getting this
you're
from.
arguing against
It's
reality.
nonsense. You're making this up, guy. He's making it up, folks. I think he's making it up. It's not happening down again and again and again. There's some evidence of that, but it's not he's saying that, he's trying to make the argument that because of cash bail, the crime's gone up. Violent crime has gone up. That's what he's trying to make a correlation with that. That's what he's trying to do. It's not because of that.
Where is he getting it from?
That's exactly what I'm saying here. You're losing people. You're losing people who are on your side because they go, Haas, that's not reality. That's
They're
not
not on there. They're never really on this side. People who believe what you think. What he said, these liberals, these centrists, these Democrats, they're propaganda. They're for propaganda in the police state. And it protects their property. And these rich folks and I don't think the poor people, they're not with him. I mean, therefore they would go with him. They would agree with him. Go with him. Yeah, they would go with him. They would agree with him, but the rich people like you, Cenk, the ruling class, the PMC class, you're right, they wouldn't agree with that. How about the working poor? Working poor doesn't agree with this. Even Jimmy Dore wouldn't agree with this. My God. Jimmy Dore is terrible on every other. Jimmy Dore is terrible on every freaking thing, except for this. He's a better take than you. It's crazy.
the reality that I live in. They're locking up all the stuff in the CVS because guys keep coming in and taking it.
That's another really good. See, again, all matter
You
of.
think that it just
all
just
matter-
everybody's
It's
making
not
it,
happening like
just
that.
making
Yes.
it up?
It
Well,
is.
they're
Yeah.
not, as a matter of fact. If you look at the actual data coming from the National Retailers Association, they literally talk about shrink, which is not necessarily simply people stealing. 36% of that, the $112 billion number that they point to in terms of total shrink, actually is external theft in the form of organized retail theft, which, by the way, isn't the overwhelming majority of external theft that's happening. It's just a fucking media fantasy. Okay,
No,
26.
it's not. We see with our own eyes, Haas.
Dude,
See,
do you
wait,
want me to
wait.
describe to you what the
Go ahead.
reality is by giving you empirical evidence, or are we going to talk like you're a reactionary conservative by just
Yeah, that's what he is,
talking about
reactionary
your feet?
conservative.
This is not.
fees. You're crazy, man.
No. You're doing. You're literally. Oh my God.
He's getting
You're
heated
doing
now.
bench.
He's a conservative. He's a
Come on,
freaking.
tell me that Philip.
He's a progressive. Yeah, he's a conservative. He's a shit lip. He's a shit lip.
Philadelphia
Don't
didn't
know what to
happen.
think about it.
Are you telling me they didn't go into that
No,
goddamn
of
store?
course it happened. Do you think that $112 billion
but it's not
of
like you
shrink is
think.
happening?
Shrink
36%.
always happens.
So
Okay,
the-
exactly.
Now it's worse
Okay.
because they've added
Is
this
it?
extra
Is it?
layer.
Is it worse? That's really interesting because according to the National Retailers Association, that fucking same number that you hear in local media, that actual study shows that shrink has not increased in comparison to former years, and it's actually trailing along at 1%
So all those
increase
shops in San
alongside.
Francisco are closed because they don't want to make money? Because
you-
they wanted to...
Cenk is basically equating punching a lady in the face with shoplifting. Yeah, that's insane. It's like he can't differentiate between different crimes. I
Yeah.
believe that how law enforcement is depicted in a lot of police procedure shows where they're shown to be smart and heroic contributes to the perception that police are always good. Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's called propaganda. They do
Yeah.
this shit all the time. They just have cop shows showing how evil criminals are and how smart and heroic are police officers. This is why the show called The Wire is considered the greatest show of all time, and it's such a classic. Now, it's not my best show of all time, but it is definitely one of my favorites. It is phenomenal. It really, really explores how the Baltimore police system interacts with the day-to-day people and criminals, and how fucked up the system is. It's so good, not just the police system, but the political system, cultural, educational, media, everything. It covers everything. So The Wire is an absolute must-watch to understand it, in my opinion. There's another great channel I should show you guys. Let me look for it. Let's see. So, here it is. Skip Intro is a great channel. If you guys don't know about it already, I'm sure a lot of you do. Propaganda. What cop shows get wrong about fentanyl? We own the city and the reality of reform. They even did a show about Abbott Elementary, which is a great show again that talks about education. So you should definitely watch this series by Skip Intro. I've watched it. It is phenomenal. It's really helped me understand propaganda and why people view police as in such a weirdly positive light.
Yep.
Because it's really because of cop shows. Are
Yep.
you a Hasan fan? Yeah. I definitely have my disagreements with Hasan, but I think overall he does pretty good for the left. But definitely have issues with his foreign policy takes.
Yeah.
Making some
Do you
political point?
do you think organized retail theft is capable of stealing $112 billion,
No.
or do
It's
you
not
think that
the
it's
whole shrink, Haas.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally internal theft in the same way that
Has always existed.
employees stealing 26%, which by the way, totally on board with that. Keep doing that.
Don't
Come
do
on.
that.
He's
Okay.
right. Don't do that.
Not only that, but also there's inventory mismanagement, things that are damaged in the process. That's a part of shrink as well.
Always.
Shrink across the board has not increased in a dramatic way,
Haas,
according to
why
the
are
national.
they closing down the stores?
Because
they close
real
down
estate.
stores
Be-
because you can't make money.
That's insane. They can't make
Because
money
of-
because of
because
real
of-
estate, Cenk. They can't make money
because
because
of
brick and
theft, they
mortar has
closing down
no
stores.
basis anymore. There's no way to make money
Bro,
with
this-
Both
with
are
a fucking
factors.
Walgreens. No, that's a much larger factor. It's insane to say that like 3 fucking teenagers or 100 teenagers even are
Yeah, it's-
a gang of roving teenagers are able to literally take down the entire retailers in
Retailers dying from
neighborhoods.
online
That's
Yeah, it's crazy. This man's lost his mind, Cenk. He's lost his mind.
Crazy. You know where
He's
shrink?
being destroyed in this debate, folks. To me, Cenk's being destroyed.
You know why shrink is actually increased? Self-checkout. That's why shrink is
Yeah.
actually increased.
Another
Because you
one.
know what contributes to
Yeah.
shrink? That $112 billion number. You know what actually increases that? You and everyone else that goes into a fucking Wawa and like steals the Skittles. What do you think is happening more frequently? Roving gangs of people that are able to steal billions of dollars of merchandise, or a sum total of every fucking American doing the same goddamn thing without even thinking about it when they just go into a Wawa and yoink a Skittles at 2 a.m. when they're high as fuck? That's what is actually the shrink.
It doesn't even have to
I'm
be
not
2 a.m.
denying any of the factors that you mentioned. Those are all real factors.
Really?
But you're denying the one factor that everyone can see with their eyes. So you're
not
are you
denying
saying
it.
Not
so
denying
what
it.
should we do
Bullshit.
with those guys who break into
He's just
those
saying it's not a
places?
big deal.
Okay, shouldn't we
Yeah.
put them in prison right away and make sure?
Do I think that police should stop robberies?
They
Yes, I
should.
do.
Thank you.
That is insane.
Why are they not stopping them?
No, that's not a few moment because the reality that you are dealing with is not what is actually happening, and it saddens me to see
Yeah.
you go along with mainstream media narratives that are
propaganda.
inherently
It's
reactionary.
not,
Dealing
Haas,
with the
you're not
propaganda. He's a propagandist. That's what he is.
living
Yeah,
in
it's
reality.
sad.
Brother,
All right, so my camera's
Like, he's not in
probably
reality.
run out of battery by now. So
And his camera's gone.
I think I'm definitely gonna leave the stream here for now. If you guys want to see more and we can finish the defund the police thing, I feel like my
Okay,
next.
folks. Well, I'm not going to see more. Maybe I might see more. He comes on again. He's going to stroll again. But folks, he got destroyed. Cenk got destroyed in this, man, the debate. There was another debate with the trans, but that was kind of 50-50. Because they don't have any real strong views on it, actually. He kind of won the argument there too, but he was almost close. But this time, he won. He won. Hasan won the argument. The argument. Definitely. He's I don't know what. He's become more. Cenk is all about law and order. Not really serious about police reform. I mean, and defund the police. He lost that argument. He's so worried about the phrase defund the police, but I don't think he doesn't want to really. I don't know if he really cares about defund the police. He just cares about. He just wants to. No, he cares about reform. That's what he cares about. Because defund the police means that you reallocate the funds. That's what they said. To social programs. But he doesn't really care about that. He just care about... He just wants to me... He wants to just reform the police. The money what they have, use it to reform the police. Give them whatever money they want. See, he wants to reform the police and give them any money they want, not allocate the funds. So you give them how much they want, doesn't matter. I mean, it's still going to be the same. You don't allocate the funds. And change the role. Not every situation they're gonna be going there to do, like going there to stop a problem, right? Like somebody mental health issue, they're gonna have somebody there with the cops, health professional to, you know what I mean, to help the situation, de-escalate the situation. But Cenk doesn't want anything like that. He wants to just give them the money. It's all about reforming the cops. I mean, it's all about the training. That's what he would say. All you have to do is just do the training with the cops. That's it. I don't think he doesn't really care about defund the police. Because he just says to give them any money that they want. Defund the police, it means you just give them the money. You reallocate the funds. You cut the money to the cops. Cut the money. Well, you reallocate it to, you don't cut the money, reallocate it to certain more of mental health. It could be in law enforcement, but like in mental health, like the cops. And it's like a partnership. I think we have that here in Canada. We have something like that here. The cops go along. It's a mental health provider there. Go along with the cops. We have that in Toronto. I think I realized that. So folks, that's it. This is so Cenk gets destroyed. Oh, he gets destroyed again. We probably get destroyed in other debates, but he gets really destroyed. That's it for now, folks.